Have you ever just asked yourself, am I even getting better at this? Well, I definitely did. Multiple times in fact. And probably so did you if you clicked on this video. We often think that we aren't actually improving in photography, that we are stagnating. Yeah, photos from the 4 years ago were definitely worse, but the ones that I took like a year ago are pretty similar. So after that we just get sad and the imposter syndrome kicks in. Let's just stop right there. These feelings are lying to you. And even if you don't see any obvious improvement, you have improved. Don't worry about it. And that's because in photography, growth isn't really that obvious. So in this video, I will talk about why you are a better photographer than you actually believe. So the first thing that I actually believe showcases growth really well is your ability to notice things. More specifically, light. Because you can make any subject interesting with the right light. So for example, you can just draw, hey, that's interesting, and boom, a good photo. But it actually goes further than that. You know you definitely improved when you start noticing light and how it interacts with things, even if you don't have your camera on you. So you just walk around noticing light and possible compositions for that matter, without really paying that much attention. And at this point you can definitely say that you grew as a photographer. And if we are talking about that, we must also talk about your ability to make light work. This point, similarly to the previous one, touches on light, but it requires way more skill and versatility. So you know how the light is the best during golden and blue hour? This probably shouldn't surprise you, but the entire day is not made of these hours. And that's assuming sunny weather. So you have to improvise, notice different things and work with what you have. Every type of light has a lot of potential. You just have to access it by reflecting, shaping or just leaning into it. Because it's very easy to say that light is bad, but it's not that easy to make it work. The third thing is your slow change in taste. So have you ever noticed that everyone starting out, including you and me for that matter, try to get a technically perfect photo? But after some time, you are trying to tell a story, to convey a certain emotion. And that's the change. As you got better, your taste has evolved. And you started caring less about the more technical aspects and started caring more about the storytelling. You also stopped caring about perfection for perfection's sake. The subject might not be in the best place in the photo, the camera could be shaken, the photo may be a little out of focus. But it doesn't really matter anymore. It tells a story and conveys a certain emotion, so that's all it matters. This one, I think, is the easiest one to notice. You just look at your old photos and think, wow, that's boring. But when you took it, you were most likely pretty proud of it. This point, similarly to the light point, has a pretty close relative. And it is... So when you are starting out, you think that your photos are perfect, that you have this whole photography thing figured out. But now you start looking at your photos like, I wish there was a person there, I could have framed it differently, why did I even take this photo? That's literally the Dunning-Kruger effect if I think about it. But anyway, the point is that you understand that you could be better. And that is such an important thing. Because what reason do you have to get better if you already think you are perfect? No reason. You have no reason at all. Understanding flaws in your work and that there are better photographers out there than you means that you understand at least the basics of photography. You start understanding what works and what doesn't. This one isn't actually as simple as you may think. You probably heard it already that as you get better, you stop caring what others think and you stop comparing yourself. But it's not really that accurate. You still do it, but you do it in a smarter way. Yes, you do stop caring about what some random person online has to say, but you start valuing more what other photographers in your vicinity have to say about your photos. Because critique is an important part of getting better. You also still compare yourself, but instead of getting angry and jealous, you try to use it to get better. So when looking at other photos, you start noticing things that you like and dislike, and you try to take that knowledge into your own work. You simply try to use these things to get better, instead of being salty about it. When you are starting out with photography, you photograph everything. And I mean everything. But because of that, you don't put any intention into your photos. Photographing everything sounds kind of cool, but did you have any idea what you were doing? But again, as you get more experienced and because of that also better, you stop taking photos randomly. You start asking yourself more about composition, story and lighting. You stop banking on random trends and praying and spraying, and you actually start thinking about what you are trying to achieve. And before we go to the last part, please consider subscribing and liking the video. It helps a lot. The last thing that I want to talk about is gear, or more specifically your approach to it. As you get better and more experienced, you simply care less about it. It stops being an excuse to not take photos. You realize that you can take photos that you want with the gear you have just fine, and that you don't need the most expensive cameras and lenses out there. Like, I get it, gear is fun, but it's not be-all end-all kind of thing. Most modern cameras are pretty great. And also, camera is simply a tool, an extension of you of some sorts. And because of that, I don't think that most people need a 4000 euro camera. The 1000 or even 500 euro one will do the work just fine. So that is kind of all I wanted to say. Bye!